Hey, I'm Jeff, and I make music with my brother.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I also make music with my brother.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack, and we make music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack. It's been a while.
How many moons? 3?
4.
4 moons.
No, 3. Last one we actually recorded was like...
Europe.
Really? No.
Maybe post New Zealand.
No, we recorded one in New Zealand. Who cares? We haven't recorded a podcast in a while because we've been finishing off our debut album. And that's been done. Now we're done. We're finished. It's completed. It's handed in.
It's handed in for mastering, and we're just waiting back on getting the final masters. We gave some slight feedback to the mastering engineer. Shout out to TB of Calix and TB. And we just had some little tweaks, and we'll be getting the final masters back this week, and then then it's all systems go.
All systems go. It's it was quite hard to try to do the podcast as well as actually finish off music,
as well as have lives and have jobs and
because we
function as humans.
Because we also found we were talking, obviously the last couple of podcasts we would talk about some of the process of writing the album, but I felt like we were kind of repeating ourselves, and actually
just basically saying this is hard in 10 different ways.
This is hard in 10 different ways, and then wanting, because we record the podcast in the studio, we were wanting to work on music while we're in here rather than talking about our week or talking about your day or I don't give a shit about that. I want to just work on music.
Yeah.
So that's why we had a bit of a sabbatical. But now we're back. Going to bring you weekly podcasts. All the updates with Jeff and Jonathan Hansen.
AKA
Ekko and Sidetrack.
You heard it here first.
Ekko, AKA Ekko and Sidecube.
As was coined
today. It's always the sidetrack that gets, I guess because it's 2 words technically, but it's always me that gets turned into something else. It's never Ekko.
A gecko.
Yeah.
You can edit that out.
How does it feel to finish the album?
It feels good. It feels like an accomplishment because it is an accomplishment. But it also feels strange to have been working on something for so long and to have had a purpose and then all of a sudden have this void appear and go, oh. I was in the studio the other day and I started working on something, and then I stayed in the studio for probably an extra hour because I was like, oh, if I keep pushing it, I'll be able to get it to this point. And if I think I'm coming in, and I'm like, you don't have to push so hard at the moment. You're right at the start of a song, but I have that push mentality because we just ground
beef
for a long time there to make big iterations better.
Yeah, I think it's
on the album.
I definitely feel the void aspect. I think both of us respond well to having a goal or a project to work on. And having an album project is a large project. There's the music side of things. That's obviously the major part. But then there's also the artwork and the selling of the album, which we are both heavily involved in. And it's just a large project you're working on. And
it's not over.
No,
just
absolutely not.
Just the major part, the deliverable, the first deliverable, which is the album, is over.
Yeah.
That leaves a big space.
Yeah, especially when, now we can come into the studio and be like, oh, we don't have a task necessarily on
task,
music.
Yeah.
We don't have to work on that song, or we're not finishing to, write the second drop of this song, or you got to replace those drums, but we've been putting it off. There's none of those tasks. It's kind of back to the drawing board in terms of creativity wise, which is really nice. I worked on music yesterday for the first time in a while in the studio, and it was really nice. But Yeah, it definitely feels good to finish something, but I also don't think, like I think I said this morning, like no amount of champagne and congratulations, that doesn't make it feel like you've finished something or that you've accomplished something. I think that has a little bit to do with probably not being fantastic at celebrating wins classically. But I also think it's like the mindset that you get into when you're working on a big project is just like, go, go, go. What's the next thing? Okay, the next one. And we're still in that mindset. So you finish one and you're like, cool, what's the next thing?
But that as an...
And that takes a while, to dissipate.
There is an advantage to that, because
Absolutely.
if you want to get something done, give it to a person who's busy.
Yeah.
Because they're doing shit. They're working through their to-do list every day, every week, every month. That thing will get done. Not someone with more time. Give it to someone who's busy.
Yeah.
So in that, from that aspect, we have the ability now probably to finish songs faster than we ever have. And
Absolutely.
It's good that we're turning our momentum into something.
Yes.
And some of what we're feeling is that, like, whoa, a bit like rudderless, so to speak. Like, oh, I don't have to do anything. So what do I do?
I would say it's not rudderless that I feel. I feel like I need to deal with, like, kind of like, I think it's like a big slowdown in terms of like being in the studio late at night and not having good sleep and not kind of constantly having this thing that I'm thinking about.
You're readjusting to a more balanced life.
Yeah, it's that kind of come down that I guess readjusting is a good thing, because I would like wake up in the morning and instantly
Great job.
and start thinking about the album, or be like, oh fuck, we have to do this, or like what, like problems, you're problem solving
Constantly. We had
constantly.
lists on lists on lists that just got like more and more distilled. Like,
Yeah.
You know.
And when you're working on 10 songs simultaneously and darting between them and trying to figure out, it's problem solving. And I think, like you said, doing that while also having a life, there's just a space that's been made. And I think your mind adapts to thinking like that. And like you said, that is a great thing, because now we have the ability to write music faster and finish music faster. Fantastic. But it's also important that you recognize, okay, cool, like towards the end there, you would definitely, I was definitely experiencing burnout things of being like, I've pushed myself enough. I can't keep running on 4 hours sleep. I can't keep coming home late, going to work early, and then going back and forth. That's unsustainable.
It's definitely
the last
unsustainable.
the last 2 months of any project, I think, is any big project, as things come to an end, is very unsustainable. And that's why it's important to kind of have a break or take a breath before you have to go back in. And like you said, it's not finished, just the deliverables of the music is finished.
I also think just returning to slightly more manageable hours is a good thing. And refocusing on the next obstacle is the word that comes to mind, but it's probably not an obstacle. It's
opportunity.
Yes, there you go. That's a better one.
Why do you think your mind goes to obstacle?
Oh, just that's the word I thought of. Just, the next thing we're working around. Because but it's not as big as the last one. So I think we're going to bring some of that energy to the next opportunity. And it's really amazing to put something out, of which the first thing people have heard, which is The Light with Ruth Royall.
Yeah.
But it also feels like delayed gratification, because we've finished all this stuff and we're like, oh, we want to share this. And then you're like, oh, I can't just yet. We got to wait till it's released and everything like that, which is kind of why it doesn't feel like we finished something. Because sometimes the finish, and then you go, it's done, bang, there it is. You get that rush of delivering.
Yeah.
And there's a different kind of rush when you send off a Dropbox link with some pre-masters in it or a master, rather than being like, ta-da. So, yeah, I think in this modern age, the way music works, it's just particularly long-form music like a full album. It's just a different kind of feeling to finish.
Yeah, I think you probably don't have that feeling until maybe a year after the album, or like a long time after, when it's because really the final part of finishing of any art project is the digestion of it by your audience.
Yeah, once it leaves your hands, it's out of your
and
control.
That's kind of half its life, right?
Yeah, how anyone interacts with it is half of the
So
art.
like a year after the album comes out, maybe that's when we can look back and go, okay, cool. It's finished.
Someone told me recently that they had a void after their first album, and then it wasn't till playing festivals and more shows later on in the year that they thought, oh wait, that album that I wrote and released 6 months ago, that did connect, because I have more people at my stage. I have more people, more fans, more things. And like, it's not just about more, but when you do release something into the void of the internet, into this digital realm, you don't see as much of a direct feedback loop. Yeah, so it's a bunch of delayed gratification, which as adults, we're better at dealing that with than when we were kids.
But it is strange to be like, I can't remember what day it was or what night it was. There was a night where we finished, when we actually finished it.
We finished it on the Friday, and then I heard driving home, I was like, oh, we need to change this kind of thing.
On a Sunday.
And then you were like, let's go in on Sunday. And then on Sunday we came in and we were here for like 2 hours.
That day, when we finished it, and we were like, cool. And we shook hands and hugged. And I think we had a beer. And we were like, all right, see ya. We'll speak to you tomorrow. Driving home, and then just kind of like sitting at home.
I listened to the song on the way home and I was like, oh yeah, this does sound finished.
but like
there's no finish line.
No, there's no finish line, and then you go back to your house and you're still like, what am I having for dinner? And in the back
I haven't organized anything.
And in the back of your mind, you're like, I've just finished a music album, which is
one whole music album.
Which is, a kind of pretty rare thing, a pretty special thing.
It is a special thing.
It's something that not everyone does.
Great.
I just farted and I love it. Like but you go home and you're like, that's a crazy thing I just did. And someone's like, do you want pancakes for dinner? And you're like, sure, I just finished an album. And someone's like, great. Do you want pancakes for dinner? Like it's this weird thing.
That's two things. One, finishing an album on Shrove Tuesday to be offered pancakes for dinner. But more, which we didn't do. Our family has a long history of pancakes for any kind of meal. But that's a side note to the real point, which is celebrating your wins. If a lot of people have said to me, congratulations on finishing the album.
Yeah.
And I go, thanks. And then almost don't know what to say next, because in my head I'm like,
have you finished it?
Yeah, it's like saying have a great flight to the flight attendant, the ground staff that puts you
great flight.
Yeah, and you're like, have a great flight. You're not flying anywhere, nor will you ever, because you're a ground staff member.
Because I think that's as well like something that we have gotten better at over the years.
But I give an explanation. I go, sorry to cut you off, but I say, thanks. Yeah, it's all. It's been delivered. It now needs to be mastered. I'll let you in behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I can't just go, thanks, out next week, like and subscribe.
No, but okay, so there's obviously between those two spaces is a spectrum. You don't have to be like, yeah, I did like self-congratulatory, smell your own fart kind of thing. But you also don't need to justify the work. You can just go, thank you very much. It was really challenging, but it feels great to have finished it. Or something that sounds a little bit less PR-y. But like, I think it's uncomfortable to sit in admiration when it's like a one-on-one scenario or like people just there. Like, I don't have a problem with being applauded if I perform. You know, if it was at fucking on stage and someone claps and you bow at the end, or if it's DJing and I fucking bow. That's great. That's fine. But someone directly to you going, thank you. You know, not thank you. You've done a great fucking job and you should be really proud of yourself.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's like a imposter syndrome, or like if you knew the real me, or like if you knew. And again, and this is something I'm getting better at, and I do say thank you, but in my head, I want to justify. I want to go, yeah, but like, you know, it's.
You can do an album too.
Yeah, anyone can do it. I've just done it, but you do have to sit there and be like, you did a great thing. Well done. Thank you. I did do a great thing, and it is great. And you sit there in the
and you say that fucking phrase. I did do a great thing, and it is great.
Because I think
shuffle back into the
because I think
mainframe.
Ultimately, artists probably aren't fully happy with the end product, as you say. Someone, not just Jeff didn't come up with this, but I can't remember who said it.
Picasso.
Art is never finished; it's always abandoned. So you're always going to be like, it could have been more.
Could have been this. Could have been that. But the key is to, as Seth Godin would say, ship it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying ship, not ship.
So you go
ship it. Just like get it done, and the next one will be better.
Yeah.
And the key is momentum and delivering.
But I think artists generally are pretty self-aware and pretty harsh judges of themselves. So I would say most artists find it uncomfortable to be congratulated about something and then sit in that congratulations.
Well, it's
and
something
then,
you have to get used to and get better at.
Yeah, exactly. And I think and like I said, I have gotten better at, and I enjoy it much more. But with something as momentous as the album, and it being this idea that, you know, both of us have wanted to write an album since we were fucking 10 years old. It's that thank you comes with the weight of, we've been wanting to do this for so long. We've been talking about doing it for so long.
We've been working on it
for so long. Mm-hmm. And now it's done. And that's the weight that comes with that thank you. It's not just someone giving you a compliment and you going, thank you, I do look nice. It's not that. It's this big encompassing thing that kind of you're forced to look at. And that's the thing that makes you uncomfortable. I think it's not necessarily the praise coming from the person. It's the weight of the emotional impact it's the story of the album that I've created in my mind that also comes with the fact that we've finished it.
Yeah, I think it's dealing with pride. Because what we're feeling is a sense of pride.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a scene from Paddington 2, which I watched last night with Holly. Hey, Holly.
Hey, Holly.
We watched it because of the fact it's mentioned in the unbearable weight of extreme talent, or whatever.
The unbearable weight of extreme, yeah.
Yeah, talent. The Nicolas Cage movie where he kind of plays a version of himself.
It's a good movie.
It's great fun. And they talk about Paddington 2. So we watched it. And it's a beautiful movie. Like, it's really entertaining, lovely message, bright. Like, it has moments of Wes Anderson-ish things. And the guy that directed and wrote it is actually from Mighty Boosh. One of the guys who did all the direction on them back in the day. So it's got real comedy in it, and it's very well done. Either way, side note, there's a scene in it where something happens, and a person who isn't used to feeling pride goes, "I have this warm feeling."
Sorry, you're talking about Paddington 2 now?
Yes, Paddington
not
2.
The Unbearable Weight and Lightness of Being, or the Mighty Boosh Guy directed Paddington 2.
The Mighty Boosh Guy did direct Paddington 2.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
now talking about a scene in Paddington 2.
Sorry, it wasn't clear because you were talking about I thought you were saying that the Mighty Boosh Guy directed The Unbearable Weight of Extreme Talent. Cool, just clarifying. So
No.
Paddington 2 is directed by the Mighty Boosh Guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's funny.
Yep, as I said. And in that Paddington 2, there is a moment where one of the characters says he does something that he's not used to doing, and he says to Paddington, "I have this warm feeling in my stomach. What is that?" And Paddington says, "That's pride." And I thought, and because there's a lot of people applauding this person, and I was like, oh, that is a feeling that you have to get used to, and you sometimes don't have much experience with if you're not exposed to congratulatory moments often, especially on like varying scales. And that sense of pride of delivering something that you've done your best at, you've delivered your best work, arguably it might not be your best ever, but it is the best job you can do at the time. You did your best, you delivered it, and people love it. And you get this feeling of pride. You are proud. And that is the feeling that you feel that is a bit uncomfortable. Because I think it's almost like love for yourself in some ways. Like, I am good. And in some ways we're taught not to be proud. Because it's like, it's adjacent to being arrogant.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely an aspect to it, for sure.
And so I think that encompassing spherical you talked about before, the emotion, I think that is pride, or at least a large chunk of it is pride, because I'm like, oh no, I am proud and I am allowed to be proud, and this feels good.
I think for me that ball is more so it's like I need to, and I will, write how I feel about finishing the album. And it's like a lot of thoughts I have that is being, let's put in a folder in my brain that's like, I've got to deal with that because it keeps coming up every time someone thanks me or like talks about the album. It's like, I need to have that moment of self-reflection myself, because I'm having these thoughts of like, how does it feel to finish an album? I want to go into that by myself, beyond the I am proud to do it. It's answering those questions of,
just off the top of your head, how do you feel? Without overthinking it, without thinking too deeply on it, should I say?
Very, very happy. And I can't believe that it's done. And to some extent, it's like a dream come true is a fucking is a bit like cliche and sounds a bit
No, but I think success is surrounded by cliches, because it's like, even the term congratulations. People say congratulations for arriving at a bar on time and getting me a drink. Congratulations. It's like the word awesome is meant to be like awe-inspiring, crazy. And now you can go, fuck yeah, awesome. The movie's on at 2:15, not 2:30.
Yeah,
we'll be able to get a parking spot.
Yeah.
It can be, so success has so many things around it that feel cliche. You're a winner. You did great. Like everything like that. So I completely agree with the way the feeling can feel a bit like that.
I think, it's like,
What? You seem like you're off with thought or unhappy or something.
No, I'm not unhappy. Again, it's like this, there's so many thoughts surrounding.
So tell me what some of them are.
No, but they're like, my friends that said I couldn't do it when I was younger. I want to say like, fuck you to them. I want to say, I want to play it for my music teacher at school when I was in high school. Shout out to Darren. No, like it's just a lot of personal thoughts that I just need to write out like that, and a lot like a brain dump. I need to do an Ekko and Sidetrack album brain dump for me. I want to think about what I felt when I was writing it, our relationship during it, all this stuff that I haven't written about long form. I've done snippets in journals, but I know that there's like a long form dump that I need to do.
When are you going to do that?
Potentially tomorrow. Excuse me. Tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I think you do well to get it done as soon as possible so you can be a little bit lighter on your feet when that subject comes up.
Yeah, because I think...
I didn't know about this.
I think you just have...
I'm learning. Welcome to the podcast.
I have, people have asked me about it, and obviously they don't want to... Some people don't necessarily want to go into a deep, in-depth conversation about how it feels to achieve your fucking dreams.
What you need is it's like
I'll talk to my therapist about it.
You need three versions.
Yeah.
You need the short version, you need the medium version, and you need the
PR version.
No, and
that is the short version.
Well, no, I'm just saying you need, when anyone says anything to you about it, you need the short version, which is thanks, it was amazing, can't wait for you to hear the music, or some version of that. The medium version is maybe involves a bit of back and forth. And then the long version you'd probably only get to happen with certain people that want to, talk about it more and get more of an in-depth understanding and ask more questions. And you've got to it's almost good to have this like little sentence that you just repeat. Or it's not good to have that sentence you repeat because that then it maybe trivializes it.
Yeah. I think what I suffer from, I would say in my life, is not...
Bonitis?
It's not suffer from. I talk to a lot of people. But as you get older, and something I've realized...
I suffer from talking to people.
No, like...
you saying that when you're recording your own voice.
Or I'm talking to someone.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, what's the point you're making?
Is like, I think I didn't talk to, I don't know, I had people that I spoke to during the process, obviously, that weren't you. But I kind of, I don't know, I think I've definitely over the last year kind of suffered from not having a regular person to talk to. I think being in a relationship when you're a musician or anything is so helpful because you can come home and you can brain dump up to the person.
I've said this actually to Holly.
I think it's so great that you can have a day in the studio and you go home and you can talk to Holly, just like with her in the cafe.
Yes, and I think it is at a disadvantage to you because I think you'd prefer to talk even more than I do, and for you not to have someone IRL, it's really
difficult.
tough.
And I think,
some of the other people haven't been as helpful, or just it's not the same.
No, and I think that this started. I reckon it started in COVID, with me living by myself, and me kind of just relying on your own talking or thinking. I would write instead of coming home or I would talk to Wilson. Shout out to Wilson. Or like potentially I'd speak to some people, but I wasn't seeing enough people to like have that dump where you come home.
And you also hadn't developed a relationship where you you feel comfortable to just start talking, and it's a discussion, or maybe you just need a bit of moment to decompress. It's like you're having more conversation, and then it's sprinkled throughout is a bit of that dump.
Having less conversation in general, and I think that started more reliance on my own thinking, or reliance on like writing stuff out. And I think that's just been progressing over the past year, and has kind of ebbed and flowed as people have been in my life or people haven't been in my life.
Did you do morning pages?
Yeah.
How long for?
Probably every day for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then it was every second day for about another 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then it was stopping.
All right.
And just journaling.
I'm going to put a challenge to you. Get an A4 notebook, and you get up and have a good morning routine. And it's tough to do, but I found it so beneficial, and you really start getting into it probably after about 30 days. And it's hard.
The
reason I bring it up is because I was I finished a notebook the other day and I put it with my others, and I was like, what are all those ones? And I was like, holy shit, they're fucking
the morning pages books. How long did you do it for?
I generated 400 pages or something, 300 pages.
Did you do the whole Artist Way?
No, I didn't do the whole Artist Way. I stopped not very far in because I was like, it was one of those things like, I don't have time for this. I'm already doing something that gives me joy. This is not for me. But morning pages, I continued well afterwards. And I didn't do it every day. But I did it every day diligently and nighttime journal for a good chunk of time. And it started to really quieten, and just like I was just able to think a bit more. It's like clearing the gunk out of a fucking drain or something. And the reason I say this is because I think you'd really benefit from it. And if you did it for 2 weeks, it's almost like I went to the gym for 2 weeks. I didn't get jacked.
Yeah.
It's like, do it for a month, do it diligently, and tell me. It's like meditation. Tell me, I challenge you. If you come out of the other end after 30 days and go, this is not working for me, I'll be like, sure. But if you're getting, I guarantee you'll get something out of it after 30 days.
Absolutely. I get something out of journaling.
Yeah. But
I get something out of writing anyway, but
the pure brain dump of the
in the morning, I think it's beneficial,
and also just the automatic writing of it. It's like at about the 2.5 page mark, or even about the top of the 3rd page, you're writing and you're thinking and you're forming new ideas, and you're like, whoa, I'm. It's almost like you're problem solving.
I was just going to suggest I could just get a girlfriend. But maybe it's
easier just to do morning pages. But maybe just stay out of the day again. No. I'm kidding. I do think you deserve so much love, buddy. You're so lovable. Everyone loves you.
I do deserve love,
and you deserve love, and it's not a case of just getting a girlfriend. Like, go to the vending machine and it's like, I'll have a Puerto Rican one.
No, in the vending machine in the city that sells the Kodak portable cameras, actually you can buy girlfriends and boyfriends in there.
Oh,
it's just one style though.
No, I think you do well to have a partner.
Yeah, I do too, but at the same time, I'm not
solely for that purpose.
Yeah,
you also just for a togetherness purpose.
Having someone in your life, I've learnt that you can't make a partner appear. How you make a partner appear is by focusing on yourself and being the best you and being content and happy, rather than looking and being like, I need something to fill my life, or have my life feel there. Be
the best version of yourself, and you will attract the best version of someone else.
Exactly.
Who the fuck would want to hang out with someone who is feels so
exactly.
What am I saying? Feels so in lack.
Yeah.
Whereas if you come, and go, no one's got it all together.
No, of course
I
not.
used to think that, I'll be ready to have a partner when I finally put things together.
Yeah.
It's like, no, at some point you got to just put things together enough to be able to present someone like, what do you think? And they're like, I think it's pretty good. And they show you theirs, and then
you show them yours.
and you go, that's pretty fucking symmetrical. Let's get inside. But you go, because you are coming at it from a place of love and acceptance and belief and all these lovely things that are not just fucking buzzwords for people to say in podcasts, but they're real feelings that when you're feeling them, and when you meet someone who you think you could fall in love with or you want to spend time with, and you're like, oh, you're not a complete person, but no one's a fucking complete person. Tony Robbins isn't a complete person. He has problems. He has all sorts of things. But when you present a great version to someone else who's great, you go, let's be great together.
Yeah. And I think that I'm probably in a place. I am in a place.
North Perth?
I could give out my address and someone could come
Do you mean
find
physically or mentally?
in the middle of the night. No, I mean...
Come to my window and watch me sleep. And put some coins in the window and I might show you something else.
No, I mean, like, I'm in a place mentally that, sure, it could happen. But
wow, way to sound confident and sell it.
No, sorry. I am confident and I'm happy to. My issue is that I don't run into people readily that move the needle for me in a way that I'm like, wow. And I mean,
wow, what a great audience. And that,
hang on, let me finish.
Sorry.
Because the people I've dated in the past have moved the needle and have had things that have obviously attracted me to them and have been why we were together. And now I think the more experience you get and the more experiences you have, it whittles down what you are really looking for in someone. And I think that I'm probably just not exposed to enough. I think we've spoken about it before. I'm probably not exposed to enough people that have these qualities that I'm looking for in someone. I'm not exposed to them randomly because I'm not going to if I was looking for a partner that's funny, I want someone that's funny.
Go to a comedy club. No,
yeah, like exactly.
What I was saying,
and that's not what I'm suggesting. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going out there into clubs and like actively looking for people.
And all I was going to say is, but of course, you've been writing a fucking album.
Exactly.
And living your life and working and traveling and doing so many other things that are all great builders for Jonathan. And now you're like, I've got a bit of spare time. I think I'd like someone to be involved with.
Yeah. And I also, beyond having a partner to talk to like that, I think it's really important and something that I have maybe ignored.
Yes.
During the writing process.
Yes.
Is having a friend.
Whoa.
And making fucking time to talk to friends.
Yeah.
And like solid, like I've had some fantastic conversations with some of my best friends over this period of time, but not regularly enough. And I think that's going to be different now that I live more central. And I think I said to you last week, like, already I had these like 5 social activities just because I wasn't living so far away.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff.
You're rubbing up against the world rather than fucking hiding in a hole.
Yeah. And I think hiding in a hole, living in a hole, plus working in a hole, if the studio was some sort of burrow, 2 holes don't make a right. But
you need to put a cylinder inside the holes.
Yeah, but now that I'm, you're more central.
Sorry, I think we're mixing metaphors here.
Now that I'm more central and not having to grind in the studio as hard, it does allow more time for social interactions. It allows.
So you're
more time.
grinding less, but your hole is open.
My hole is open, but Grindr is happening less. But my hole's never been bigger.
Okay.
I've got a big hole. It's open.
Yes. And
I'm looking forward to
receiving someone into it.
Well, butting up against someone else's hole.
All right. That's a beautiful way of thinking about it.
And creating a No, but yeah, ultimately, I've actually found it quite nice too. I love like coming home and talking to people.
Yeah.
And being like, I said to Diana the other day, I was like, hey.
Shout out to Diana.
Hey, I like
things.
I don't care if you're not home or that stuff or like where you're going, but I like to know what's going on. Don't need details. But I will always, if anyone's home, I'll be like, see ya. I'll always say goodbye.
Yeah, I tend to do this.
I just like to, just...
I also think probably because
it's just nice.
You have known Diana for a little while, but also like it's, you're living in Peter and Diana's house essentially. So you want that you've been friends with Peter forever. Yeah. So it's like you are saying goodbye to a friend. It's not just like, hey, housemate.
That's why I'm
eating your fucking cheese.
I could never live, people who like live with complete randoms.
It's a bit interesting. I still do it to them though. I'd say like, hey, I'm leaving.
Exactly.
Don't smoke in the bedroom, you fuck.
I could live with randoms, but I would be like, we have to integrate into each other's lives. I'm making a cup of tea. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah.
There are people that are just like head down. This is my part of the shelf.
This is my hole, man, and it's fucking closed.
I'm not
try and put anything in it, and I'm going to come at you with a butter knife.
But I'm not. I'm like, okay, we're living together. Cool. We're integrating into each other's lives. Let's go for a beer. What are you doing? Do you want some biscuits? Do you want some...
These are all great share house quotes. Things to say in a share house. Hey, do you want some biscuits?
Hey, I'm opening a packet of Jats. Would you like some biscuits? There's a little bit left in my wine. Would you care for a glass?
What are some other ones?
I hired a DVD from Blockbuster. Would you like a week? Do you want to watch a DVD with me?
Have you ever seen Lord of the Rings? Would you like to start part 1 with me? It's the director's cut. Have you got 4 hours?
I'm thinking of ordering a large pizza. Would you like garlic bread?
What are you fucking saying to me, man? Get away from me. I just finished a 50-hour shift. Yeah, I agree that having someone to talk to, and man, it's amazing that you can recognize that. And I think as you live in a more exposed situation, if we can say that, like you are going to butt against more opportunity. That's part of the reason why Holly and I wanted to stay in a city. It's like you can just go, yeah, let's walk there. Let's do this. Let's go, rather than being like, if we moved further out from where we live, all of a sudden everything becomes a drive.
Man, I was talking to Diana about this and about like moving and like, buying houses and where would you go and affordability and all that stuff. And like, I think it's crazy that people are so quick to, especially younger people who have money are like quick to get on with their life in terms of like,
particularly in Perth.
They would, was it her? Oh no, maybe it was someone else I was talking to said that her friend is like 22 and her partner is 24 and they've just bought a house in...
You don't even have to say the suburb.
A brand new suburb that no one's ever heard of. And, which is great, fantastic.
Well done.
You're on the financial ladder.
That's great.
I wish there's parts of me that think maybe if I'd done my life differently, that's a good idea to do.
Yep.
But I also think once you're on that ladder, you're locked in. Do they have kids in a year? It's like people are so quick to grow up almost.
Absolutely. And 13-year-old kids doing fucking adult things.
And you're like, you want...
And 22-year-olds are doing shit that...
40-year-old people do.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't you want to
be your
live a little? Don't you want to go to Europe for a year or...
I've been to Europe. I went for 10 days. That was enough. They spoke a strange language over there.
Start taekwondo lessons and like maybe get into some fucking trouble or like I don't like live life.
Yes,
for whatever
absolutely.
for whatever I have done, or however I've lived my life, if I died tomorrow and I was at the pearly gates,
Touch wood you don't, buddy.
I hope I don't too.
So there's things you got to do for the album.
Jesus. Don't worry. You know my computer password. And you know your way around. My digital will's on the desktop. If I were to die tomorrow and I went up to the pearly gates and Carl Weathers, who I believe would play St. Peter in a film about heaven, he's there and he's like,
Jonathan, it's great to see you.
Great to see you, buddy.
Obviously, it's not great for you, but it's great for us. We're about to get a great song. Shakes your hand. What kind of moisturizer are you using?
And he was like, do you think, are you happy with are you happy with the amount of experiences you've had? I'd be like, fuck yeah. I've tasted a lot of life. I have been to lots of places. It's been interesting. Fantastic. I'd be happy. And yeah, I think that it seems like some younger people, this is a generalization. It's not everyone. This is taken from
Please speak in generalities.
few conversations that I've had. But yeah, people are so keen to grow up. People are keen to like move far away to get on the housing ladder. But then that in itself is so isolating because it's like, again, like you said, it's a 40-minute drive into the city. Do you want to go to a cafe? It's a drive.
We'll just find the cafe that's near us. And that becomes your favorite cafe.
The signage is written in fucking Comic Sans. That's what kind of cafes exist in those places, which is fine. Congratulations. But you losing a bit of that energy. Even this morning, like I rode my bike over to your house and then me and Jaden went to have bagels.
Yeah. It was great.
That's great. And it feels energetic. Where things are happening.
I think that's part of the appeal.
Rather than getting in your fucking car and being like...
Of the connectivity of a place like London.
Absolutely. That's what
Because yes, everywhere might be 40 minutes to an hour away, but you're doing something on the tube. And
things are happening.
Things are happening. There's a buzz.
Let's meet up for a beer. Oh, cool. I'll meet you here. Things are happening.
Yeah,
Nothing happens in the northern suburbs of Perth. Very little happens.
Nothing happens in suburbia.
For a single
adult man. The suburbia has the stigma of being like, that's the quiet place.
Yeah.
It can be a bit maddening.
Yeah.
Great place to grow up. Great place like safe and
great place to have a family
and everything like that. But if you move out there prematurely, you're going to go, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe. Unless you're one of those people that are wired for that kind of thing. And then I say, hats off to you. You have a less active brain than I do.
I also, I don't think you and I...
they might resonate with me. It's not that and by less active brain, I don't mean they're dumber or anything like that. I just mean like you want different things to me.
Yeah. And I think it's recognizing that I don't want that life.
Yeah, yet. One thing to think about as well, and Holly and I have been thinking about this a little bit more, is talking about goals and trying to execute them based on certain timelines that we believe are coming. You know, if X, then what do we want to do before X? Rather than just being like, meandering through. Because we both had these discussions about, we'll be able to think more clearly about stuff once the album's done, once Holly's sold her business, and things like that. And all of a sudden, in the last 3 months, the world has just rushed up on us and been like, yep, all those things are happening. Oh, do you want to buy a house? Yeah, sure. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, no, what's happening?
And it's like, well, okay. And again, that's part of the void, I feel. I'm like, all these things I ever wanted are right here, but I'm not where I thought I'd be. What? And so you have to kind of retake stock of where you're at.
Yeah.
And assess where you want to go, because really, I just thought of this. The void is empty, but also the void might just be empty because there's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Not a lack of possibilities. It's just there are so many possibilities and opportunities.
It's bigger. It's just a bigger room.
It's like you've opened up, you thought you were like working in like this kind of space, and then you open up the door and be like, whoa. It's I heard Eric Weinstein talking about it on the Rogan podcast. He said, imagine you lived in a bunker under the earth, and there were lots of tunnels and everything, but that was your world, and you'd done all your science there, and then someone goes, oh, I think we can go out. And then they opened the door, and then you went directly up into the Keck Observatory, and then you saw not only the surface of the earth, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, also there's that out there.
And you see the stars.
And you're like, what? I mean, I don't believe I've exited the underground city, but yeah, there is this opening in front of me that is like, whoa, there's a lot of opportunity here, but there's also a lot of like potential for happiness, unhappiness, failure, winning, anything. Like it's
life just gets bigger. Life just got a bit bigger.
Life just got a little bit bigger.
And you can see,
It's the Jeff Hansen story. Life just got a little bit bigger.
He's been 6
feet under, and now he's on top of the world. Rob Schneider is Jeff.
Life just got a little bit bigger.
In Big Boy.
Rated PG-13.
Yeah, but I think life, it's more opportunity. I really like that way of thinking.
Yeah, I just came up with that then.
This is all improv, guys.
We're just sitting here.
We're just sitting here talking, Just sitting here having a conversation.
But just like writing helps me to think and talking helps me to think.
Yeah.
It's important. That's why it's important for me to have conversations. That's the point of what you're saying about having more conversations with more people is you talk to think and you write to think. So you've got to expose yourself to more of that.
Yeah.
And you are.
Yeah. Definitely.
Jonathan, I thought we could implement a new segment of the podcast. We should always finish in a similar way.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm going to say. So do you have anything that we could finish with? It's always a thing we finish with.
Like do you mean like a story?
Oh yeah, I typically I ask you for a story.
Or or do you mean like a
question?
A question, a well wish?
I don't know. Like
what are we looking forward to? What are you looking forward to this week? Things we've not liked about, like a weekly wrap up. Is that what kind of segment thing you're looking for?
I'm not sure. Maybe we can talk about it off the air and come back to it. But I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. It's been great to be back in the podcast, and
I've enjoyed it too.
I'm excited to get back into the rhythm of it. And I mean, if this is not too inside baseball, I'm also excited to chat with fans. And we've had some great responses over the years about our podcast.
Yeah.
And we're super grateful for everyone that listens
and
gets whatever they get from it.
Absolutely.
And as you can hear, it's therapeutic for us as well as interesting for us. And we're just incredibly appreciative of everyone that listens and gets anything from it. So thank you.
Thank
Jonathan,
you.
And thank you, dear listener or watcher. Our new tune, The Light with Ruth Royall, is out now. And we're incredibly appreciative for all the responses we've had on that too. We can't wait to share the rest of the album with you.
Hell yeah.
And this is probably not the last time you're also going to hear about like the album woes and stuff, because it's something, like you said, that you're working through.
Yeah. And I think it's something that we want to discuss probably more as we release songs and as we release, some BTS, but behind the scenes footage. And stories from how we wrote the album. I think it's going to come up.
What BTS stands for?
Yeah.
I thought it was before the suck down. Fuck.
There's a lot of suck downs happening in the film industry, music industry, theatrical, everything that has.
You got that BTS footage? Like, what do we want to see before, man? Sorry, that was a lowbrow joke.
Head in the gutter. That's all right. We were talking about wide holes and open holes before.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying we're going to release some more behind the scenes.
We're going to release, behind the scenes stuff and talk more about the album. We want to have more guests on the podcast. We want to, of course we're going to talk about it more. So this is just, the first podcast back. But there's going to be more of it. And let us know what you want to hear. If you have an idea for a segment we can do.
Or if you'd like to hear us pontificate on something or discuss something, get in touch. You know where we are.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We love you. Jeff, I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
Have a great day.
You have a great week.
Have a great month.
It's going to be a great year, and you are going to have one too.
And, the next 5 years is a pretty exciting time.
I think the next 20 years are going to really stretch it out, and we're going to do a great job.
The
I
rest.
can't wait to see what you're up to.
Okay. I can't wait to see you in 50 years, and we'll be looking back and thinking about what we did.
Remember that time we did that thing?
I'll never forget it. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on all social media. We've recently updated our YouTube. Go and give that a subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the latest video podcasts. And follow us on Spotify too so you can keep up to date with all our latest music releases. Big up.